Okay, before we get into anything, Madison, if you're watching this, what's up? My DM's wide open, okay? Wide. So, Madison Beer, for those of you who don't know, blew up on TikTok a few years ago because she's good at TikTok and whatever, but simply put, I mean, she's gorgeous, right? I mean, listen, a lot of the young men on TikTok are very simple. They see a girl on the screen, and if shoddy bad, they follow. So she's got 18.6 million followers on TikTok, and now, as of recent, she's moved over to Twitch to begin her streaming career. She also does music on the side, and I know normally I'm pretty mean to TikTokers. I don't really respect what they do. I think a lot of what they do is pretty vapid and meaningless, but Madison Beer has never really given off the vibes of being egotistical and full of herself, and she actually does seem pretty talented at music. Anyway, recently there's been this drama involving Madison Beer, and there's this weird comment thing happening that's sparked a discussion as to how people should respond to haters. Madison Beer goes viral after roasting a body-shaming commenter. If you're a popular woman on the internet, it's just kind of how it goes, that guys will talk about how you look, you know, your body and stuff like that. It's kind of unavoidable. I mean, there's not much you can really do about it. There's not much you can do to prevent it from happening in the first place, but you can kind of decide whether or not you want to engage with it and respond to it. So Madison posted this picture on her Instagram, and somebody responded with a paragraph. Now, I don't know if the guy who wrote this paragraph is like on the spectrum or if he's like actually never spoke to a woman in his life, but the paragraph says, "Hey Madison, I've noticed that your legs and arms are getting fatter." Okay, dude. Please do some cardio because we men only like skinny girls. Your face is already perfect, but please, we love a thin-waisted girl. Now look, that's a whack comment, that's weird, that's just inappropriate, and it's also, not that this really makes a difference, but it's totally incorrect. Like, she's not fat, like, I don't know what you're looking at. Look, I'm not white knighting here, but she's literally just standing in her room with her phone out, posting a very normal picture to her Instagram, and then you're over here looking at this post with a tape measure, like, okay, let's measure the circumference of your waist. Dr. Riz in the comments section's gonna get you right. Who does this guy think he is? This is like insane. Madison, when you have a minute, could you step on that scale for me? Now, in terms of responding to this, if I was Madison, I would read that comment, like, immediately assume the guy who wrote this was autistic and then move on. Or maybe not that, maybe he's like legitimately 13 years old and I wouldn't even like care enough to respond. But she did end up writing a response, which we're gonna get into whether or not she should have done that or maybe what could have else happened. But she writes this: "I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole if you paid me $1 million. I mean, fair enough, the dude was kind of asking for a response like this. And if we're being honest, and this could just be me, I could think of some, like, worse things to say in response. Like, she could have legitimately eviscerated this guy. She could have, like, screen capped his profile on Instagram, put it on her story, and been like, okay, this is the guy who's trying to, you know, chump check me. Now, that being said, that's sort of my content intuition, right? Like, how do we maximize content? We do, like, a big response where everybody sees it. But Madison Beer, she doesn't really get much out of beefing with a random commenter. So if I was her, I probably would have just ignored it. Not that she isn't justified in responding, she completely is, but sort of out of like a brand sort of safety thing, I would have just kept it chill. Like, I doubt that any company she's working with is gonna see that response and then like think, oh wow, Madison is actually just, she's too much of a risk, we can't work with her because she's just responding to random commenters and hating on them. I don't think anyone actually thinks that, but I don't know, I'd be on my best behavior if I was in her position. Now anyway, so she responds to this guy, I think fairly reasonably, and the dude who got responded to goes on to his Instagram story saying some stuff like, oh, Madison Beer, you don't know that I have these mental health disorders, what you did to me is really affecting me negatively, and goes on to write this paragraph painting himself as the victim in the situation, so let's just read that. So this guy writes, "Hey Madison, maybe you should know that I'm already depressed. I am bipolar and I'm extremely depressed and my biggest crush saying this to me has broke my heart. I always supported you even though your songs aren't that good." Like, what? I thought you were a good human being. You can't just say this to your fans. Thanks. That's for making me more sad, Madison. Thanks a lot. So a few things about this response that I want to highlight really quickly. So the first thing is that there's these grammar mistakes that he's making throughout this paragraph. Now that could just be because he's typing fast and nobody actually cares if you spell words correctly anymore. But, and maybe this is a stretch, it's possible this guy's not English speaking, which you decide how much that changes the context of this entire situation, but I think that if he's not an English speaker, maybe that's something that is somewhat somewhat significant to this. Not that that would make what he wrote initially okay, but yeah, I guess, I don't know, maybe there's some sympathy there, but I think that's unlikely. It's more likely that he just wrote this paragraph out and made some spelling mistakes and just didn't correct it. But now let's get into what he's actually saying. So he goes on to list these mental health issues that he has and how Madison responding to him really negatively impacts his life due to these mental health conditions. Now, not to be too cynical or anything, but I think it's possible that he's just lying. I mean, he wrote a mean comment and then, you know, got a response. He's upset that Madison responded to him. He probably got some DMs from her fans, and he wants an easy way out of the situation that he created. So what does he do? Oh, I have mental health problems, guys. You know, don't hold me responsible. I'm really sorry, but I have, you know, I'm depressed, and, you know, it's a scapegoat. And it's a scapegoat whether or not he's lying, if we're just being honest. Like, if he's depressed, it doesn't really change the fact that, yeah, you're still finding a way to not take responsibility for the thing that you started. People do this all the time, whether it's on YouTube or in real life with actual crimes. They'll be like, oh, I did this bad thing, but my mental health, you know? But let's just say benefit of the doubt to the maximum extent, okay? Yes, you have these mental health issues. You wrote something that you didn't mean because, I don't know, you're having a bad day or something. Madison responding to you is not the end of the world. Like, yeah, she wrote a comment back, that's it. You will be fine. The sun is gonna rise tomorrow. You're gonna have breakfast like you always do. It's gonna be the same life, dude. And if you're reading a comment from somebody, you know, that you find to be mean is that bad to the point where you're gonna get depressed about it, maybe don't do it in the first place. Like, don't start that interaction in the first place. If you dish it out, you gotta be able to take it. And look, dude, if you're gonna do a response where you talk about your mental health and how you're depressed and etc., you can't, like, attack her again in that response. You can't be like, you know, I've always supported you, even though your music sucks. Like, what? What does that... It's like the weirdest sort of way to do this. Like, my guy, you're on the defensive right now. You're defending yourself. You can't be attacking her in your defense. That's not how this works. And at the very beginning, too, he's like, Madison, you should know by now I'm depressed and have bipolar. Like, excuse me, how would she know that at all? Like, is she some sort of telepathic Martian? Every person she responds to on the internet, she has a full biography of who they are? Like, I'm sorry, but bro, you're like one of her 37 million followers on Instagram. Like, she probably knows more about some, like, weird breed of grasshoppers that's almost extinct than she does about some random dude commenting on our Instagram. Like, that's how the internet works. When you're responding to someone who left a comment, you just respond to what the comment is saying. I'm not gonna hire a private investigator from the dark web to follow you around for like a month just so I can know who you are and what you're dealing with before I respond to your comment. Also, like, dude, in your response, you're writing about how Madison Beer is your crush and stuff like that. Dude, knock it off, okay? You lost. You can't simp. You can't do any of that. You literally called her fat. Like, bro, you lost your pass at simping. Now, this guy, the legit main character, decides that it's a good idea to follow up his response with a screenshot of all the DMs he sent Madison, including, Madison, I love you so much, wifey. Hope I can meet you one day. Hi, Madison, you're my biggest crush. And then, of course, responding to the response, he says, no way you just commented something so rude like that. This guy is unbelievable. Comment something rude, gets a response, no way you commented something rude like that. And it brings me back to a great quote here. Simps do not get sympathy. The lesson that we can all take away from this drama, this little incident, is that if you can't take it, don't dish it. It's really that simple. Like, if you're gonna say something mean about somebody else's sneakers, you better get ready for someone to roast your light-up Skechers. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it has to be in order to maintain balance in the world. But yeah, honestly, I think Madison Beer, I don't know if she did the right thing, but she was reasonable with what she did. And with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. See you guys later. Peace.